Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney,
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in news and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember where the songs came from, Sam.
This is episode 25, This or That, Disneyland Edition.
Or, Happy Birthday Disneyland, you look great for 68.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure. Howdy folks, and welcome to episode 25 of the Epcotian Adventure. First of all, we'd like to just say happy birthday, Disneyland!
Happy birthday!
This episode is what?
We won't sing.
We won't sing? I guess we can't sing. That's copyright. We're not allowed to. I think Michael Jackson owns Happy Birthday, last time I heard, right?
I believe that is true.
Well, anyway, happy birthday to Disneyland. The day this is being released is going to be July 17th of 2023, which is Disneyland's official 68th birthday.
That's right. And who are you?
And I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And this is the Epcotian Adventure, episode 25.
Details.
As if you didn't know by now.
Don't you know who I was?
Yes. Anyway, today's episode is another copy or version or iteration of This or That, which is our ongoing feature, where we have a kind of choose-your-own adventure, but today is Disneyland's edition.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about things that can occur at Disneyland and what the choices are we are going to make, and we being Sue, because I'm acting as moderator today. So Sue has not seen any of this information.
I have not. I'm a little scared. But this is just sort of our way to create a perfect day at Disney. And the one that we did before, we featured Epcot, of course, because that's kind of what we do. But since Disneyland's birthday is occurring on a Monday, which is when we release, we thought we would go ahead and celebrate the OG part.
So Disneyland opened on July 17th, 1955 for the press event. Believe it or not, the first actual public guests were on July 18th of 1955. However,
the 17th is the official day, and it turns out there were actually quite a few guests there that day who were not invited.
Yeah, 28,000 guests showed up to the opening. However, only half of those were actually invited. The other 14,000 either climbed over the fence or had counterfeit tickets.
Which is just crazy because it was only $1 to get in.
That's crazy. What is it now? 100 and...
right now, Disneyland One Day One Part starts at $104.
104. I remember when I started there in 1987. The Rod worked at Disneyland. Everybody drank. There's the drinking game. It was about $17.50, I believe, to get in. So, wow.
Yeah, that's changed a little bit, and it changed rapidly, I feel like.
It really has. I don't think it's changed with inflation. I think it's changed with new attractions being going through the roof in cost. So
for sure. Before we start our This or That, why don't we just talk a little bit about opening day, like what that was like. So,
oh my heavens.
I remember there. We're not that old. I
remember back when I could go to Disneyland for $1 and still get change, but no.
But it did open in 1955, like we were saying. It had 5 lands at the time and roughly 20 attractions. You're going to find some different numbers if you look this up, depending on what people considered an attraction and depending on what people consider an opening attraction.
Yeah, things like Dumbo actually opened up in August instead of July.
Wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, and a few other attractions that opened were renovated quickly, like Canal Boats of the World became Storybook Land Canal Boats 1 year later. And, things change over the years. Like Sue said, there were 5 original lands: Main Street, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Adventureland, and Frontierland. Later on, New Orleans Square, Bear Country, which became Critter Country, Mickey's Toontown, and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So 9 lands now make up the Magic Kingdom of Disneyland.
And roughly 58 attractions, so more than double. And again, depending on what people are considering attractions. Now, that opening day and the opening season There were attractions which included shows and rides and exhibits. So that's a little different from what we have today. Some of those exhibits didn't last very long, but
I think mercifully,
yeah, but they're worthy of a mention. So
there was the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry.
Ooh. And let's not forget the Aluminum Hall of Fame.
Ooh, from Kaiser, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And my favorite, the lingerie shop that was owned by Hollywood Maxwell, lovingly referred to as the Wonderful Wizard of Bras.
Actually, on Main Street.
That was actually a store on Main Street.
You could buy lingerie at Disneyland.
Yeah, and considered an exhibit.
But yeah, things that you would never think had a place at Disneyland actually had a place at Disneyland.
Thank heavens Walt did stick with the things that were popular and was smart enough to go ahead and remove things that were not.
Yes. And that's always been a thing. Walt has always said that Disneyland will never quit growing, never quit changing as long as there's imagination left in the world. One thing that we always point to is the unfinished spire on the castle, and you may have noticed that as you're going through. But one of the spires on the castle is remained unfinished, unpainted, and that is to exhibit Walt's vision of Disneyland never remaining or never being finished. It's always going to continue to change, which I love. I love that about it.
Yeah, that's the best thing about Disneyland turning 68 is even after all these years, it still really is a tribute to the man, Walt Disney.
And another really cool thing to point back to that, which was not on our list to discuss, but we're about to discuss it because here we go. But I just think it's so neat. Above the firehouse at Disneyland, Walt had an apartment put in for basically just for him. It wasn't like the family suite like they had planned for Over Pirates. It was just for a place for him to crash because he was working there literally 24/7, so he needed somewhere to sleep while the park was being built. And that was a small apartment above the fire station. And to this day, they have a lamp that they light. That was the signal when he was there on park. They would light that lamp so that people knew that he was on site. And now, from the day he passed away until now, it is always burning because he's always there. But everything on that opening day was not perfect.
Boy, that's for that is for shizzle because wow, it came down to drinking fountains or restrooms. Yeah, I guess which one there. And people were walking around in high heels and sinking into the blacktop.
Yeah, this was the mid-50s, so women were showing up in dresses and high heels because that's how you went out in public. And the blacktop was not quite dry.
Yeah, opening day in July may not have been such a great plan because it was over 100 degrees the day it opened. And yeah, it was a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, so that was a thing.
Between a plumber's strike and audio and video equipment not working properly. Yeah, poor Walt and poor Roy and poor Lillian, they had a little bit of a nightmare on their hands. But within a very few days, very few weeks, Disneyland became very profitable, became very popular, and to this day is a testament to American stick-to-itiveness and ingenuity and Imagineering. So we're proud to be saying happy birthday, Disneyland.
Happy birthday, Disneyland. One quick story, just because I happened to know someone who was there on opening day, and her father was a friend of Walt, and so she got to go to that opening day press event. And she was about 12 years old at the time. Her name was Catherine Colson. She was actually an actor later in life. That's how I worked with her in Ashland, Oregon. And she's best known for being the log lady on Twin Peaks. But when she was 12, she was at the opening day of Disneyland. And she told a story about how she got to be one of the girls who got to ride the ponies. That was actually an attraction. It was a ride.
Along with the stagecoach over in Frontierland.
Yes, that would be the one. She said that she remembered falling off of her pony, and the only thought in her head as her bum hit the ground was to stand up and smile and say everything was fine, because she knew everything had to go right for Uncle Walt. So she said she could hurt later, but she was going to smile in the moment.
Oh, that's a great story.
Oh, I just love that.
Yeah, being born in the 60s and Sue in the 70s, we did not get to see the original park in the same way that our older siblings did. Our older brother and sister actually remember Disneyland from when it was less than 10 years old. So I'm a little jealous, actually, of that fact.
And Mom actually told us a story where she and Dad, they got married in 1957, but they actually went on one of the date nights to the park in that opening season. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so the rules of this game, this or that, are I get to give Sue several choices, and she gets to make a choice based on both her feelings and sometimes literally the best choice. So we're going to discuss each of these as we go along as well, and we'll give you some tips and tricks as we're going through this. So this is Disneyland in California. We have flown in. We are taking Uber or Lyft to the parks. That is not a choice. We're just from the airport to the resort.
Okay.
We do not have a park hopper.
Oh, why did we do that?
This is Disneyland's birthday. We're talking only about Disneyland Park in today's version of this. Otherwise, it would have gone on for 5 hours.
Well, also true.
We do have Genie Plus.
Okay.
And we're staying on site, meaning at one of the 3 Disneyland Resort hotels.
Awesome.
So here is the first fork in the road.
Everyone, I want you to meet Forky.
Golly, Bob House.
All right, so Sue, your first choice. Are we flying into Santa Ana, Orange County, or LAX?
That's not a choice. Always, always, always. If it's a possibility, always pick Santa Ana.
Now, why?
Because LAX sucks.
Yeah, I worked at LAX for a while. It does. It sucks. Now, here's something.
Huge. It's always under construction.
Yes. They start at one end, finish the entire airport, and start over.
It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge.
Every single time. Exactly. Now, one thing about LAX is it does have cheaper and more flights.
Also true.
It does stay open 24 hours, whereas Santa Ana actually closes overnight because of noise restrictions. One thing to think about, though, is Santa Ana, is a much cheaper Uber ride.
Well, and flying into SNA is just a great experience. It's a smaller airport. It's very just user-friendly.
It's a beautiful airport,
It's beautiful, and you're not flying into the middle of the city. It's really, really nice. If you get a chance to do that, that is always the choice you make.
Yeah, so the airport code, as Sue said, was SNA. That's Sam Nancy Alpha, I guess is the best way to put that.
Sierra November Alpha.
Okay, we'll go with Sierra November Alpha. That's Orange County or John Wayne International. LAX, of course, is Los Angeles. There are actually 4 other international airports you could choose from. Long Beach International is about 30 to 45 minutes away. Burbank, which is Hollywood Burbank Bob Hope International, is closer to Hollywood and Universal Studios. It's about 60 to 90 minutes away, or it can even be 2 hours during traffic. Ontario is out the other direction in the valley. That's OMT. And San Bernardino is a brand new choice that Breeze Airlines now flies into, code SBD. So there you go. 6 international airports to get there as opposed to the 1 MCO airport. Well, plus Sanford for Orlando. So big difference when flying into Disneyland. You have a lot more choices.
Lots of options.
Okay, so we have taken Uber or Lyft. I'm not going to give you the option. It doesn't matter. Oh, which would you pick? I'll just throw it out there. Would you prefer Uber or Lyft?
I don't really have a personal choice. I would probably check both apps and see which had a better rate at the moment, since they are dynamic.
That's a good point.
If I had to choose one just based on prior experience, I'd probably choose Lyft because they have minivans in Florida.
Yeah, I'm kind of partial to Lyft because they do run the minivans at Disney World. Okay, so then we arrive on the resort. Are we staying at the Paradise Pier, which is becoming Pixar Place Hotel, the Grand Californian, or the Disneyland Hotel? This is one where you get 3 options.
Okay, so we've stayed at the Grand Californian.
Grand Californian.
My brain wants to say Grand Floridian.
The GCal.
GCal. We've stayed at Grand Californian, and it is absolutely stunning. It is a breathtaking hotel.
And has its own entrance directly into California Adventure.
Yes. However, since we are not going to California Adventure on this trip, thank you very much for that option.
You're very welcome. No, just not this day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. But I am going to actually choose the Disneyland Hotel.
Ooh, going retro.
I am. They've had some recent renovations, and it's been years and years and years and years since I have stayed at the Disneyland Hotel.
And it's still a beautiful property.
It's gorgeous, and I really, really want a Fantasyland room.
If you're not familiar with the Disneyland Hotel, it was actually built by Jack Rather, which became Rather Hotels, and was purchased by Disney in the mid-'80s.
A lot of people don't know that the Disneyland Hotel was not a Disney hotel. For years and years and years, when it first existed, Walt had no interest in owning a hotel. He wanted someone who knew how to run a hotel to do it, which is very Walt. That's a very Walt thing to do.
Yeah, it's funny.
Bring in the people who know what they're doing.
Even the store operations were actually run by a different group called Unoco.
But today it is a Disney-run hotel.
Yeah, one of the three. So we'll stay at the Disneyland Hotel.
And
home
I'm
to
finger
Trader
crossing.
Sam.
Oh, that's true. Trader Sam's is there. Monorail access.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool, although it's such a short walk through downtown Disney there that you kind of have to do
Oh,
that,
yeah, it's not like going through Disney Springs at Disney World. It's much, much smaller.
Much smaller. And that is the only monorail loop, if you will.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't go to the other hotels. It doesn't go anywhere else. You can get off at the hotel and you can get off at Tomorrowland.
And that leads to my first question then about the day leaving the resort.
Okay.
Are we taking the monorail to Tomorrowland, or are we walking through downtown Disney past all the Starbucks and the stores to get to the main entrance?
Oh, gosh. It's hard to turn down monorail access when you have it exclusively at your hotel. That's so cool. However, it's been a minute since we've been to Disneyland. So I am going to say that we're going to walk through downtown Disney, and we are going to go in the front gate.
Okay, so down Main Street we go.
Yes. I want to see that little tiny castle.
Oh, it's so cute. It's like a little casolita.
Casolita.
All right, so we're going through the main entrance. We are now starving, so we're looking for breakfast.
Yes, we are.
So we've entered Main Street.
Okay.
Do we do breakfast at the Carnation Cafe, a sit-down restaurant with a full menu? Or do we go across the street and go to the Market House, which is Disneyland's Starbucks, and grab coffee and a breakfast sandwich?
You know, gosh, this is hard. If it was my first time ever visiting Disneyland and I wanted to do every single thing in the park to the best of my ability, I would probably choose Starbucks and take a cup of coffee to go. But it's not.
Yeah, here you cannot get a Joffrey Shaky Jamaica
I know.
as you go in the park.
So sad.
I am sad about that.
But because we have been there several times and we are celebrating Disneyland's birthday, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to do a luxuriating breakfast. We're going to sit down with a menu, have a nice cup of coffee, and a yummy breakfast served to our table.
Nice. So you're going to watch everybody walk past you and get in line for all those big rides that...
Yes, I am, because we have Genie Plus.
Because we have Genie Plus. That's exactly where I was headed. That's perfect. And that's actually a very good point, is if you're walking into Main Street, your options for breakfast used to include things like Hills Brothers Coffee House, or you could walk over and get Mickey Mouse pancakes at River Belle Terrace. Both of those are gone now, so having Carnation as an option is a really good way. But if you're also looking for just a quick breakfast, Starbucks on Main Street, or if we had come in on the monorail, they do a quick breakfast also at Tomorrowland's Galactic Grill, which is their Cosmic Rays. Or if you're familiar with the old Disneyland, the old Tomorrowland Terrace.
There you go.
Yeah. So, we are done with breakfast. We've tipped the cast member very generously, and we have thanked them, and we've shaken their hand and kissed their ring, and because you better be nice to cast members or I will hunt you down, and we're headed up Main Street towards the nice castle. So, just like Epcot, left or right,
oh dear.
Adventureland or Tomorrowland?
I am going to say, okay, human instinct, at least in America, is to turn right. So, for guest navigation purposes, most people head right naturally if they don't know where they're headed. So I am going to say we're going to head left first. Also because I happen to be a huge fan of Adventureland. I just love that side of the park. So we're going to head to Adventureland.
All right, so in through Adventureland we go. Stop number 1. Is it going to be Jungle Cruise or Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh, man.
I know, it's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Because at Magic Kingdom, Jungle tends to get a much longer line in the morning, well, all day long, but especially in the morning, than Pirates does.
True.
Unless it's raining.
True. Also true.
Where at Land, Pirates is such a people eater that and Jungle are such a people eater in the mornings that those lines, first thing, don't tend to get long that quick.
I am going to bypass Adventureland. I'm going to enjoy it as I walk through it, and I'm going to head to New Orleans Square to Pirates. Pirates at Disneyland is the original Pirates. It is far superior to Florida Pirates, which is the one we normally get now that Florida is our home park.
Except for the queue.
Except for the queue. I do enjoy... Except, you know what? When you walk into Disneyland's show building and you have the horseshoe right there,
the boats,
you immediately get that pirate water smell. Now, I love the Pirates queue at Florida. I love it because it's shaded, you're out of the heat for a longer period of time, and I just like going through the fort feeling, the old Spanish fort feeling. I love that. But the queue at Disneyland is still probably my favorite because you have that immediate Disney water smell. You have very short way to go inside the building. So once you hit the building, you're almost on the attraction.
Well, and first thing, too, that ride tends to have a short wait.
It
and
does.
It'll stay short for the first couple hours sometimes. And when saying short, I'm saying under 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so
which
the line
is huge.
still may be out under the bridge. And if you're not familiar with Disneyland, there's a bridge from Adventureland over to New Orleans Square. Pirates of the Caribbean's entrance actually goes from the riverfront under that bridge and then spirals up to the main doors. And that was actually added when I first started back in the 80s.
Yeah, that bridge wasn't always there.
When Pirates had a long line back in the 80s, wow, you would go from the treehouse, make an immediate right all the way down to the river, and have a really small space to walk through because the Pirates queue just was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That bridge was a godsend back then.
Yeah, it really was. That was a great addition.
All right, so we've got a lot of running water been passing around us and through us when it comes to coffee, so we have to hit a restroom.
Uh-oh.
Here's your choice. Is it the restroom at the entrance of Adventureland or the restroom in New Orleans Square by the train station?
I have a special fondness for the restroom by the train station. You just have to go past that restroom line in order to get to where my schedule was.
Yeah, that's right. It's right by the doors that go downstairs to the cast member areas down below Pirates.
That is a little known fact. You could also, from where I read my schedule, which I had to go actually look at a book that had my schedule in it.
Yeah.
This was long before there was internet hub
the hub,
for cast members.
Yeah, that cast members have today.
But I could go look at what my schedule was, and I could hear the banjo from the old Susanna.
That's right, because the access door right there, or the evacuation door, because that's an evac point, is right there.
That's one of the reasons.
Through that door. Yeah.
At the beginning of Pirates at Disneyland, you go through a bayou. Very different from Florida. You go through a swamp, I guess.
Yeah.
Where there's fireflies and there's little houses and, of course, the bayou restaurant.
Over the moon. Oh, my God.
But there's a guy sitting on his front porch and there's a banjo playing O Susanna.
Yep.
And I absolutely that's one of my favorite Disney attraction moments in any attraction. And it's pure nostalgia because there's nothing special, there's nothing happening, but it's just one of my favorite moments.
The reason I chose these two restrooms originally, too, is they're two of the smallest restrooms in all of the Disney property.
True. That's also, that restroom right there by the train tracks, or by the train station, is also often misunderstood and is often thought of as an attraction, or I don't know what people think they're waiting for, but they'll just go stand in that line.
Yeah, I actually was coming back from a break one time at underneath Pirates, the restaurant for cast members there. It was called the Pit or the Deck, or several other names that we won't talk about. The food was okay. However, I walked out from that door that Sue's mentioning, and there's a line for the ladies' restroom because it's a very busy day. And as it went out, it merged with the line for the train. And all of a sudden, there's entire families waiting in line for the ladies' restroom. And I actually went along and said, hey, folks, if you're standing in this left line, you're in line for the restroom. If you're on the right line, you're in line for the train. And I had a guy argue with me. And I said, follow me. So I walked up, and he saw it and said a few choice non-Disney words. And went back, grabbed his family, and found the line for the train. Yeah, he had a magical day. Yeah. All right, so now we're hungry again already, believe it or not.
That is not surprising at all.
We're on the west side and time for a snack. Are we going to do Bengal barbecue
Yes.
or beignets?
Oh, that's mean.
Now, right now, as we record this, beignets are still going to be opening soon, I think, because of the Tiana's Palace conversion of the old French Market restaurant. But we're going to pretend today that they have beignets and give that as a choice.
Yes. If you haven't had them, they are pure powdered sugar perfection.
Magical.
They are Mickey-shaped. They are covered in powdered sugar. And they give them to you in a little paper bag so you can shake them up and get all the powdered sugar on them. And you can get a mint julep right there at the same window. It is one of those Disney moments that you cannot pass up. However,
Bengal barbecue.
Bengal barbecue is probably my favorite Disney quick service out of any park.
Oh, the sauces and the meats and the sticks. Even the sticks are delicious because they have the sauces and the meats on them.
Don't eat the sticks.
Don't
Public
eat the
service
sticks.
announcement.
Oh, now you tell me.
The more you know.
It's good fiber.
Yeah, don't. But the bacon wrapped asparagus, and here's a little pro tip: get a side of the spicy sauce to dip the bacon wrapped asparagus in. You can thank me later. It's amazing.
And I know we've said this before. Disney, are you listening? Bengal barbecue, Adventureland's Tortuga Tavern
Please.
needs to be Adventureland's Tortuga Barbecue. I'm just saying.
It really needs to make its way to Florida. They'd find some way to ruin it. Magic Kingdom food is just not good. They would find some way to make it not good. But right now, in our moment at Disneyland, you cannot miss Bengal barbecue.
And now it's time for Lightning Lane.
Lightning Lane.
Lightning Lane number 1, Haunted Mansion or Big Thunder Mountain.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so...
And on these two, I'm going to say they're both available within 30 minutes.
Okay.
So
Oh,
these are
interesting.
equal. These are equal, and that'll make sense as we go.
I'm going to go ahead and pick Big Thunder Mountain to use a lightning lane on. This wasn't part of the question, but I'd probably, because they are equal, I would probably go ahead and book the lightning lane for Big Thunder Mountain and then go get in the standby for
For
Haunted
Mansion, because Mansion's usually a quick line. That
But
makes sense.
I enjoy the Mansion queue more than I enjoy the Big Thunder Mountain queue.
And this being July, it's not Haunted Mansion Holiday or Nightmare Before Christmas version.
Right.
It is the standard version, which does have the Hatbox Ghost, which is
Yes.
really cool to see.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. But yeah, Thunder Mountain can get a very long line during the day, so we're going to Lightning Lane Thunder Mountain.
Yes.
Great. All right.
Wildest ride in the wilderness.
Yeehaw! We just got off. We didn't listen to the guy, and our glasses and hats are now sitting somewhere around Hippity Hop or the Dynamite Goat.
Very sad.
And we are now going to stealthily walk out and talk to a cast member and go, hey, I lost my things because I didn't listen to the guy on the train. In the meantime, while they're looking for him, we have time to go onto the river. Are we going to go onto the Mark Twain riverboat or the sailing ship Columbia?
Ooh. Oh, goodness. I honestly cannot remember the last time I did the sailing ship Columbia. I'm going to say the last time I did that was probably high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's been a while. And the Mark Twain is very similar to the Liberty Bell in Florida. They do not have a comparable ship to Columbia. So I'm going to say we're going to do the Columbia.
Okay. And for those of you that are unaware, the sailing ship Columbia is a large schooner-style ship with masts, just like it would be out on the open ocean. And it's an amazing voyage around the rivers of America as they tell you the history of the ship. And they go through some of the other things, like the Mark Twain, and point out things on Tom Sawyer Island and all that. But it is very unique to Disneyland Park. It is the only of the Disney parks that has this style of attraction.
And it's the ship that they use for Peter Pan segment of Fantasmic.
That's right.
So that is the pirate ship, if you will, that they use for that segment. And it's amazing. If you've never seen the Disneyland version of Fantasmic, you've got to make time for it when you go. I like it better than the Disney World, but that's my hot take.
All right. Well, time for lunch, and we're staying on the west side, so it's going to be either Cafe Orleans or the Blue Bayou.
Oh, man. I so thought you were going to say Hungry Bear.
Actually, I originally was, but I wanted. We are going to get out of the heat for a little bit, so this
Okay.
is a good time to do an indoor or at least covered restaurant. So Blue Bayou and Cafe Orleans kind of give you that. Cafe Orleans is an outdoor
It is
seating,
outdoor, yeah.
but it's very shaded by the trees.
Extremely. Blue Bayou is iconic. It's hard to beat eating lunch next to Pirates of the Caribbean as they go by you.
And they
Bayou,
have...
you got that?
That was Bayou.
Yay!
Yeah.
However,
They do have...
yes, they do have the famous Monte Cristo sandwich, which is infamous at Disney. However, I'm going to have to say Cafe Orleans because they have the Palmies frites.
They do. The palm frites. They have some of the best French fries at any Disney park.
They're the thin ones that are
coated
perfectly
in
crispy,
like a...
Parmesan and herbs, and then they're served with dipping sauces.
Oh, that's
and
right.
oh my gosh, they are so good. I don't even care what they're on the side of, but we're getting a side of
Palm frites.
palm frites.
Yum.
Or Palmies frites, as Andy calls them.
All right, so we're done with our lunch. We're going to head towards Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is brand new. You used to run into a dead end at Critter Country, as Sue knows very well.
Yes. Literally every single day, someone would stop at Rare Bar and say, "How do we get out of here?" Well, you go back up to the river, follow it all the way around. No. We just came from there. How do we get out of the other end? There is no other end.
Yeah.
It's just that you go back up to the river. Yeah, we got cussed at daily for that. So
And now
thank
they're
you,
in.
Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, thank you. So we're in Galaxy's Edge. We walk over and say hi to our friend Steven. Hi, Steven. And we have a choice now. Do we wait for Rise of the Resistance with a 90-minute wait?
Woo.
Or Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Lightning Lane, which is 30 minutes from now.
Oh my. I don't suppose buying an individual lightning lane for Rise is on the list.
Nope, it's sold out.
Dang it.
You were too slow.
Shoot.
Just missed it. Just
When?
now.
Oh man, it's hard to pass up Rise even with a 90-minute wait because we have waited longer for it. And it is the ride of all rides. No, I take that back because everything else is a ride. Rise of the Resistance, you are in Star Wars.
It's real.
It's not a ride.
No, it's real. I don't know how, but it's real.
But I don't want to waste 90 minutes. And we do have that in Florida, which means that we have ridden both of those. So I'm going to actually do the shorter line. And I'm going to go with the Smugglers in 30 minutes.
For the Lightning Lane.
For the Lightning Lane. Lightning Lane for the win.
Okay.
Do I get to
All
choose
right.
how we use those 30 minutes?
Ooh, I had not given you that. But okay, let's give you this. Would we go get some coffee with the Cocoa Puffs? Or do we go over, depending on the time of day, do we go over and get a Ronto wrap at either Ronto Roasters or later in the day, Docking Bay 7?
Well, we literally just did lunch at Cafe Orleans. So I'm going to say we're going to bypass Ronto Roasters and we're going to go ahead and get that delicious coffee with the Cocoa Puffs on top.
Oh, it's so good.
With the Space Cocoa Puffs on top.
Awesome. So we're done with that. We are now headed back out to the Thunder Trail, and we're headed to Fantasyland. Do we wait and do Pinocchio with a 5-minute wait? Or do we walk around to Alice in Wonderland with a 30-minute wait?
I love a classic dark ride. Anytime I can go on a Disney dark ride is a bonus. However, both of these are Disneyland exclusive as far as the U.S. goes.
That's true. Pinocchio is available at Disneyland Paris.
Yes. But Alice. 30 minutes actually is not that bad for Alice.
It's not.
And it's one of my favorite IPs. And I love that ride so much. I am going to bypass the creepy Pinocchio and go
Monstro!
go over and wait the 30 minutes to get on Alice.
So you're bypassing the Nightmare for the Acid Trip. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
That is accurate.
All right. So it's time for another snack. Ooh. We're in Fantasyland, so is your snack going to be a churro? And these are the good, fantastic Disneyland churros.
Yes, they are.
Or a chimichanga.
Okay, the chimichangas are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
They are so good. They are way better than a walk-up cart should be.
They're the equivalent of the spring rolls at Magic Kingdom in front
Yes.
of Adventureland.
That is a good analogy.
Yeah.
That is true. Except the flavors don't change.
Well, no,
It's
no,
always
that's
one kind.
true. But I mean, as far as how people feel about them.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the goodness of the product.
And once they're out for the day, too. You have to get those
Also
chimneys
true.
early in the day.
That's also true for the breakfast one. If you're ever there in time to get a breakfast chimichanga, they don't put hours on that. They have them until they don't.
Yeah.
So you could be there at 9:30 on a day that the park opened at 9, and you still couldn't get one because they're sold out.
And they're that good. And people go and rope drop chimichangas.
Yeah, seriously. However, I can't pass up a good Disneyland churro. That's classic.
But you can get churros
No, you
at
can't.
Disney World.
Well, you can. Nomad Lounge
That's true. Nomad's
has a
good.
very good churro.
And Frontierland's restaurant at Disneyland Paris has those horseshoe churros, which are really good.
Those are good.
Yeah. But nothing beats a Disneyland churro.
I know,
Or does it?
I can't go to a park and I can't go and not get one. But you know what? We have a DCA day coming up.
That is true.
And I'm going to say, because I like the Buzz Lightyear ones over on Pixar Pier.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to get the chimichanga.
All right. That's a good I actually thought you would. I didn't think I could get that past you. I thought you would be a sucker for a Disneyland churro. But
If this
I
was
like
our
your,
only day on park, and that
Mhm.
was my only opportunity, I would go with the churro.
I like your reasoning there. That's perfectly acceptable. Okay.
and
yeah.
typically I will pick savory over sweet.
Yeah, that's a very good
So-
point too. The older our palates get, the more savory or bitter they become. So, all right, well we're done with that, and we're gonna eat that as we walk to Mickey's Toontown. We're at Mickey's Toontown now, and we're looking at Roger Rabbit with a 15-minute wait, or Runaway Railway with an hour 15-minute wait.
Oh, that's mean. Okay,
Time over experience.
right. I am actually one of the few who does enjoy Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin. I think it's a fun attraction. I think it's an underrated attraction.
It is.
Like I
It's
said, I love a
really
Disney Dark
fun.
Ride,
It's
and this is one.
really innovative too in some of the stunts that they do.
Yes. We rode it in Tokyo, and it was brilliant, and literally brilliant. Like, all of the painting was crisp and new. All of the
All the animation work.
animation worked perfectly. It was a sight to see. It's not usually the case at Disneyland. But, that all said, I'm still going to go with Mickey and Minnie's.
Even though we have it at Hollywood
in
Studios.
Florida.
Okay.
I have not seen the El Capitan Theater,
Oh, that's a good point. The new queue.
the new
right.
queue. I haven't seen the new scenes.
Right.
I haven't gotten to see that octopus pull the plug.
That's right. It's
So-
a minor detail, but it really does help tell that scene better.
Well, and we've been on the attraction enough in Florida that we'll notice those little things
That's
that
true.
are different.
Very true.
So, as much as I love a good Disney Dark Ride and I love Roger Rabbit, I am going to wait the extra hour and do Minnie and Mickey's.
If you're not familiar with Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, it opened with Mickey's Toontown way back in the last century. And it is a dark ride where a pair of taxis are dispatched into the attraction and can actually be spun, kind of like Buzz Lightyear, where you can move the lever and spin around. It's a fun attraction, but it tells the story of Roger Rabbit trying to save Jessica from being stolen or kidnapped by the weasels.
That's right. And watch out for that dip.
I've been dead! All right, so it's after dark. Do we do Fantasmic's first show and fireworks by the river, or do we do fireworks on Main Street and Fantasmic's second show?
Ooh, good question. Now, when Fantasmic was new, I would literally wait hours and hours and hours.
And it was
Back-
just you. Nobody else did.
No, just
there
me.
weren't blankets spread out all in front of the river in Frontierland,
Yeah, that
New
was
Orleans
totally
Square. Yeah.
There were
To this
times
day,
when we
yeah.
would sit, when we would bring a blanket and sit by the river and bring a deck of cards and play cards while we were at Disneyland waiting for that first Fantasmic show.
And back then, too, there would be sometimes 3 shows a night.
That is true.
And people still would sit for 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 hours on a busy day in front of the river waiting for the first Fantasmic show.
See, here's the thing. At Florida, Fantasmic has its own theater. So you don't have a chance to sit there and wait. You have to wait until you're admitted. So everyone gets a fair shot at seating. At Disneyland, it happens just by the river. Like, anywhere you can see the river, you're going to see the show. So getting those prime spots was a lot harder. So waiting for that first show was worth it to get good seating, because if you're coming in for the second show, you're fighting the crowd getting out of the first show, and you don't know where you're going to be ending up. So all that to say, I'm going to take my chances. I want fireworks on Main Street, because castle projection is a thing now.
Right. Very good
And
point.
I want to do the second show for Fantastic and take my chances.
And that would have been my choice too, yeah. Most people don't realize that at Disneyland there are 2 shows, usually minimum per day. They rarely do a third show anymore, but that first show is always full and busy, and we're talking 10,000 people standing along the rivers of America, so you can understand how crowded that's going to get really quick. And yet the cast members do a fantastic job of maintaining guest flow through that area.
They really do. It's an art.
It really is. And the second show usually doesn't fill up as fast, and sometimes it doesn't fill up at all. It still will have room up until show start.
And
now,
that's true of any nighttime spectacular, by the way.
Very true.
The second show is always less crowded than the first show, because anyone with kids, they're going to see that first show and they're going to take them back to the hotel.
That's correct. Now, at Disneyland, too, they do projections on the river stage where Fantasmic is during the fireworks, and also on Small World at the top of Small World Mall, which is the kind of the top point of the park. Well, next to Toontown, I guess. But you can watch the fireworks from all 3 of those locations and have unique shows at all 3 locations.
Yeah, the Small World at Disneyland is very, very different from the Small World at Disney World. At Disney World, it's small and enclosed, and at Disneyland, it is vast, and it is outdoors, and it is a beautiful Mary Blair
Oh, my
artwork.
heavens. So amazing.
So that's actually a really good option. If you can't get a good spot by the castle, head to Small World for sure.
All right, we're headed back to Tomorrowland because we're not going to try to get out of the park right after fireworks are Fantasmic like everybody else. So we're going to use our last lightning lane. Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters has a lightning lane for 30 minutes from now. Or we can walk on to Star Tours now.
Oh, Star Tours all day long. I will always take Star Tours. We actually got to be at Disneyland for the opening day of Star Tours, opening 3 days of Star Tours, because it was
60-hour party.
60-hour party that we were there for.
Crazy, amazing party.
We were on the second Star Speeder out ever.
Yeah, thank you very
cool.
much. Yeah.
So I have a very, very soft spot in my heart for Star Tours, and I love that ride. It was the first Star Wars that we got to be a part of. At
Disneyland, yeah. Oh my gosh. And it was the first flight simulator attraction ever built.
Yeah, it was pretty earth-shattering at the time, so I will absolutely take that one. And, small side note, I really, really suck at Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin.
Yeah, I hope we never get to play Molly, because she would kill us on that ride.
Oh my gosh.
My heavens. Just a note of, yes, I did say Astro Blasters. At Disneyland, it actually is called Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, even though at Magic Kingdom it's referred to as Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin.
Which I just called it, and I shouldn't have.
Well, it's okay, but we know what you're talking about.
They are pretty much the same attraction. Disneyland's is actually better. You can pick up the gun, which you cannot do in Disney World.
Yeah, because it was built from the ground up.
Right. And you can tell when you shot something.
Yeah.
Like the
target reacts.
Target reacts. And there's different shaped targets for different point values.
Yeah, the one at Magic Kingdom was actually an overlay for the existing Dreamflight attraction, or prior to that if you had wings. All right, so we have time for one more high-energy attraction.
Yay.
Both of these are going to be a walk-on.
Okay.
Matterhorn or Space Mountain?
Oh my gosh, Matterhorn, for sure. I love
Really?
Really. I love Space Mountain, it's true.
Okay.
But Space Mountain is haunted and scary.
If that's true. Wait until you hear our ghost stories in our Halloween edition.
And I love Matterhorn. I love it because it's unique, not only to Disneyland over Florida, but Disneyland over every park. It doesn't exist in any other park. And I love that. I also love that Harold has been redone.
Oh, and the new Yeti is
the Yeti
amazing.
Is incredible.
Yeah, abominable snowman.
That whole opening sequence is phenomenal now. It used to just be like vague stars and snow.
Going up the lift, yeah.
And now it's they've just made it so good. And yes, that ride hurts. There's no denying it. you will need a chiropractor at the end of the ride. But to me, it's worth it because it is unique to Disneyland, because it was the first of its kind.
First tubular steel tracked coaster in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you, Aero Development of Mountain View, California. Ed Morgan and Carl Bacon.
But that's just incredible that exists and it's still there. And also, I love that, well, I don't love this, but it's sinking.
Yeah,
like, it may not be there forever.
Bit, yeah.
So.
Well, it has a top speed of, 18 miles an hour.
But it feels faster.
It does. It's because of the quick turns. And if you like Space Mountain in Florida, well, thank the Matterhorn, because that is the original track concept that led to Space Mountain in Florida. All right, so we did the Matterhorn, and so now we're tired as I'll get out. It's almost park closed. Do we go back and take the monorail to Disney Springs for shopping, or do we take the train from Tomorrowland to Main Street and shop at the Emporium?
Yes.
Now, I know theoretically you could go to the Emporium and then shop through Disney Springs.
Yes.
But by the time we get out, we're going to say that World of Disney is closed.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, you have to do one or the other. Are we taking the monorail to Disney Springs and World of Disney, or are we walking down or taking the train to Main Street and then doing our shopping at Emporium?
Okay, so we came in on Main Street. So we did get to see the pretty windows in the Emporium, which are animated to different Disney films. It's an iconic thing to see those windows on Disneyland Main Street. So we've seen those. So I will say Disney Springs and World of Disney.
Let's take the monorail then. Okay,
I'm going to say monorail.
That's actually not a bad way to go, especially later in the evening. The monorail line tends to be lower, and if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel or Pixar Place Hotel or Disney's Grand Californian, the monorail actually lets out within just a few minutes walk of all three of those resorts.
And we are, so that's perfect.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, the park is now closed, so we are going to grab a late night snack to take back to the hotel room with us.
Yay!
Are we going to stop and get beignets at Ralph Brennan's or pretzel bites at Wetzel's Pretzels?
Oh my gosh. Well, we did bypass beignets earlier in the day, and Brennan's knows how to make a beignet.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And it's nighttime, which lends itself more to dessert. I do love a good pretzel bite at Wetzel's Pretzels, though.
That's the Pennsylvania side of you coming out there.
It is, yes. That's true. I'm going to have to say beignets.
Okay.
I'm going to do the beignets.
And again, that's the opposite of what I thought you would choose. That's really funny.
Typically, I would choose the salty over the sweet. But this is the end of the night. This is the last treat of the day. And we bypassed them earlier.
And those beignets at Ralph Brennan's, and that location is being revamped right now, so the name may change a little bit, but Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen is where those beignets are available, or have been, and look for those still in the same area under the same big saxophone. I'm assuming will still be there. Real New Orleans beignets, amazing. All right, we're on to our next day. We're not going to California Adventure today. Are we going to Knott's Berry Farm or Universal Studios Hollywood?
What?
Yeah. I threw you a curveball.
Yeah, you did. We're going to DCA.
No, DCA's on day 3. Are we doing Knott's or are we doing Universal?
All right. We're going to go to Universal.
Wow, okay. Again, the opposite of what I thought you would choose.
I enjoy Knott's Berry Farm. I haven't been there in a long time. We used to go a lot as a kid.
A lot as a kid. Back then, too, it didn't cost very much to get in.
And we loved to go to the chicken house.
Yeah, the chicken house. Oh, Mrs. Knott's Chicken House is still part of the park and is what was originally there as the attraction. It was the chicken house. And Walter Knott actually built America's first theme park, Knott's Berry Farm, as a way of entertaining people that were waiting to eat chicken.
Yep,
and
that was the whole purpose of the park.
It's an amazing theme park that has been there as part of the Knott family and now part of Cedar Fair for decades. And Walter Knott and Walt Disney actually were friends.
I love that.
They had a friendly rivalry. And as a matter of fact, the old Knott's Berry Farm ads when we were kids would say, "Don't just stop at Disneyland, see Knott's." And boy, we sure did. It was a great park. It still is a great park.
And it's grown a lot over the years. It's grown a lot since the last time I was there. However, I would pick Universal for 2 reasons alone. We have Universal in Florida, I say we, like we live there.
we still go there more often.
We visit
California.
Florida a lot more than we visit California. But Universal Hollywood has Super Mario.
That's true. And
Which
it has Potter.
I am really, really wanting to do. And they have, as much as I love a dark ride, I have to go with the Secret Life of Pets dark ride.
That dark ride, I've only seen video of it so far, but it is maybe one of the better dark rides that any park ever built. It looks
so cute.
So amazing.
Now, I hated the movie. I almost walked out 3 different times.
Yeah, Dogs in Peril is not a good storyline.
It was horrible. I know that it was made for kids. I know that a lot of people love that movie. It even got a sequel. To me, it was a literal nightmare. It was like everything that could happen to your precious puppy, and I hated it.
Yeah, that was a little hard to watch.
But the ride looks adorable.
Yeah, watched it on YouTube just because we figured, it's about a movie we're not going to watch, and both of us were like, oh my gosh, we have to go ride that.
Yeah, literally, start planning the trip. So between that and the new Nintendo World, which we don't have in Florida, I would pick Universal.
Not yet. Now, that is coming to Epic Universe in 2025, however.
That's a long time away.
Yeah, that's Universal's fourth gate, third theme park, counting the water park, fourth gate, to open sometime in 2025. Well, that was a great day at Disneyland. We went through and Sue made a lot of really good choices, and we explained a lot of the tips and tricks and things, why we chose what we did. If you've got other choices you would have made, like what hotel would you have stayed at? Would you have gone left or right, Adventureland or Tomorrowland? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think these choices should have been.
Absolutely. And I want to know, my favorite ride at Disneyland is still Pirates of the Caribbean after all these years. I want to know what your favorite ride is at Disneyland.
Yeah, same. Oh my gosh, same here. I think I've said that before many times. My favorite ride overall is Pirates in Paris, but in the U.S., Pirates California, because it was my first ride. Oh, there it is! Drink again! Woohoo! Before we go, we'd like to give a big shout out to our friend Andy Apodaca from the Palm Springs Linguist, who you just heard in one of our last episodes, and Lynn and Ken at the Sweet Spot. And we were just on their podcast. Thank you again, guys. It was so much fun being on your podcast. They had some great advice in helping to get this podcast up and running, and you can find both of these Disney vlogs on YouTube. A big thanks to our social media coordinator, Riley Piper, audio engineers Joey Humphrey and Paul Trett, and logo designer Evan Piper. Our theme music composer is Jason Patrick Rowan and is licensed through Pond 5. And of course, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to rate, review, like, and subscribe. It really does help people find us. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production. Thanks for joining us today for episode 25 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
So a lot of the attractions or shops that you saw along Main Street were actually exhibits. There was an actual camera exhibit.
Exhibit.
I
like that.
Ooh, exhibit. I like making up new words. There was a camera exhibit.
Apparently that one's going to stick. I like it.